Hello and welcome to Knockoff Media's Tyre for Tyre. I'm Alan, and joining me tonight is Raph. Before we get started, I just wanted to say a few words about Max Mosley and Bobby Unser, who passed away earlier this month, and we just wanted to say thank you for all the great things you brought to the sport. And we also would like to remember Nicky Lauda, who passed away 2 years ago during just before the Monaco Grand Prix. But after that, let's go to Raph to give us a race discussion.
So, I like this race. I know a lot of people will say it's boring, but this race was very, very interesting because it was more like a chess game rather than a power game. We've seen with that Perez Norris battle and with Hamilton trying to get past Gasly, there is no physical room for those cars anymore to get past. So you have to get it on a strategy. As well as I found this kind of funny, or I think it's kind of funny that all the yellow and red flags came during free practice and qualifying. But this race was rather incident free. In fact, some could say it was boring because it was incident free, but I think it was more of like a mind and strategy game this race than others.
Okay, Raph, I got a question for you. Since
Okay.
this is, if many viewers may not know this was your first Monaco Grand Prix you got to watch. What'd
Yes.
you think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm a strategy guy. I love seeing how the teams are going to think, how they're going to react, how they're going to act. I'll get into it a bit later with Red Bull, but I definitely like how Red Bull did this.
Yeah, I think it was an enjoyable race. This is not my first Monaco race, but it's definitely one of my favorites so far. Very exciting. But we're kind of on a tight schedule today because we have just so much to cover. So we're going to go ahead and move to rumors and drama that have been going around the paddock. Raph, start
Yeah.
us off.
So earlier, I want to say this last couple of weeks, there was a article that came out that says Tsunoda needs to step it up, and I think we were talking about this. Honda kind of had a deal that they would bring Tsunoda up when they think he was ready. I agree with Marco 100%. Tsunoda has been floundering since his first race when he only scored 2 points.
Well, it was very good to get 2 points in your first Grand Prix. That's a hard thing to accomplish. But I feel as if Sonoda is kind of cracking a bit under the pressure and is not getting the support he needs, or is just
He,
pushing way too hard to make up for his mistakes.
I think he's pushing way too hard, and plus, I think he had a bit of a big confidence boost, which is great with that 2 points. But I don't know. It's been a lot of variety of tracks, and he's been all right,
Yeah.
if not bad on some.
I know before the season started, both you and I had talked to each other, and we thought that Sonoda probably could have used another year in F2. Obviously, he has a connection with Honda and Red Bull, and so they wanted him in the car, especially for Honda's last year in the sport until further notice. You never know with Honda. But let's move on to our next bit of rumor and drama that Ocon possibly resigned to Alpine, and now Gasly is unlikely to do so. It was kind of a little bit. There's been a lot been going around saying Gasly will probably sign to Alpine and cut his ties to Red Bull because he doesn't. I guess we all kind of don't think he's going back to the main Red Bull team. Raf, what's your opinion on this?
I'm kind of upset. I know when I first started watching, and you and I were first starting to play F1 2017 and whatnot, that it looked like Gasly was going to go to Renault. Maybe it's because he's French and they're a French team.
Right.
I don't know where
And
he's
of
going to
course,
go.
yeah, and of course, Ocon has Mercedes ties, so you'd think as soon as there was a seat available in the Mercedes team or another team that has a Mercedes engine, that he would be popped out of that team and into one of those, keeping him in the Mercedes family. But it looks like at this point, Ocon could be an Alpine driver for the foreseeable future.
Which isn't bad. He's doing really well in the car. The car suits him. He's been at Renault, I think, most of his career.
He started off at Racing Point, was there for, I believe, 2 years.
Yeah, and
Lost
then
his seat to Stroll, sat out a season, and then came back for Renault, which is now Alpine. But since we're talking about Mercedes, let's go on to our next bit of Noris resigned to McLaren, obviously powered by Mercedes engine. It was pretty early for silly season to kick off, but it's very good to see a young driver with a lot of talent get re-signed to a potentially great team again. We're all hoping the McLaren can make its way back to the front. There were some light rumors that Mercedes was possibly looking at him, of course, if Hamilton retires, and Bottas kind of probably is not going to get renewed if Hamilton retires. Who would be that second driver? Probably Russell would be the main. Who would be that second? Raph, what are your thoughts on this?
Of course, I'm a McLaren fan. I'm glad Noris is re-signed. He's a great driver for McLaren. I don't know how much I believe that Mercedes was looking at him because, I think they'd probably unless Ocon gets re-signed to Alpine, they're probably looking for other Mercedes drivers. If not, we all know Russell's going there at the end of the season. If Hamilton re-signs, Russell's going to be the second driver, not like number 2 driver. They're going to be Mercedes team, like AMG's second driver.
I'm kind of confident that Bottas will be re-signed, but that's a discussion for a later time.
Yes.
But since we're continuing to talk about Mercedes here, one more bit of Mercedes news. The lug nut that caused Bottas's bad pit stop will have to be cut off at the Mercedes factory. So it got cross-threaded, if you didn't watch the race, spoiler alert, and he had to retire from the race. And when they went to take it off, it actually stripped all the turning or the leverage points you would get. Yeah. And so it became machined. It's nice and smooth. It's stuck on the car. So they'll probably have to take a pretty fine saw and cut that off.
I was so upset. It was again, I'll get into it a bit later. Bottas was Mercedes' only chance at fighting Verstappen.
I don't want to see the rest of the season like this for them, but I'm kind of glad it happened just a bit. It allows Red Bull and Verstappen to get just a little bit of a leg up for this fight. And I definitely, at this point, feel that Mercedes is stronger than the Red Bull, especially with Hamilton versus Verstappen in their packages. So yeah. I think this is actually good for the championship. It'll keep it a closer fight. However, I do want to see more fighting. I don't want to be more races like this where they're retired and doing badly. But let's move on to that lovely director choice of cutting from the Vettel and Gasly fight to show a replay of Stroll going over some curbs. What did you think of that?
Oh man, you kidding me? Those curves so action packed. 100% agree with it. Totally. That's all sarcasm. If you guys can, the only fight in the race,
and we jumped to Stroll.
We jumped to Stroll, literally having a Stroll around the hairpin.
Not once. Once during when the actual fight was going on. The second time when Crofty, when Crofty was about to go show what happened, like, oh, we missed it, but okay, we'll make up for it. We'll show it again. They cut it from him again. I believe he said, "What bloody hell!" during the live launch or live view of it. I was cracking up. I think it was the funniest part of the weekend.
So an interesting thing. One thing I found out is Monaco is one of the races that F1 and their associated television media room doesn't control. Mm-hmm. I think the TV station is called TMC. It's a French channel that is in charge of it. And I'm hoping maybe F1 takes the reins because, man, that was a huge mistake, in my opinion.
I'm just enjoying the memes of it right now. Just seeing all kinds of sporting events. And I even think I saw one for a movie. I forget which movie where something dramatic's about to happen. Also, here's Stroll. So, Raph, before we move off of rumors and dramas, do you have any last bit of info to share with us?
The only other one is this weekend was great for everybody, and it had some record-breaking times. Tyre Borcher is now the youngest F2 driver to win a feature race at Monaco. I think he's 17 years old.
That's very
congrats
exciting.
To him.
Yeah, congrats.
I wasn't doing that when I was 17. I think I was legit probably sleeping in the middle of a class.
You probably were. But yeah, it's great to see a young driver be able to achieve something so young in his career. And I'm excited to watch him throughout this F2 season and see what he can pull off. But Raph, It is now time for our hot takes.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this. You want me to start it off?
Oh, please. I really like yours. And we both kind of have a theme tonight. You know what that theme is?
Curses.
Curses, you're correct. Go ahead, start us off.
So I'm saying right now, because Leclerc got pole and then crashed and then wasn't able to start the race, this is the climax of his Monaco curse. Not his curse, not curses in general, but his Monaco curse, I think, is at the climax. He's still going to have a few crashes here and there, but I think within the next 2 years, he's going to be able to start and finish a Monaco race.
I
The
get the feeling.
Monegas will finally be able to finish a Monaco.
I get the feeling that it might be one of those situations where he's going to lead every lap next year, except for the last one, where his car will either break down or crash out. So maybe we could do some early points for next year. That's mine.
It's your prediction.
That's my prediction.
Last lap crash for Leclerc.
Yeah, or he's not finishing the Monaco after leading the majority of the race. But anyway, let's move on to my hot take. Red Bull needs Ricciardo back.
Wow.
And that's because of the second seat curse. We saw it with Gasly, Albon, and now we're starting to see Perez struggle. Now he is doing a bit better. They all seem to be improving just a bit more than the last. But yeah, it wasn't quite the same since Ricciardo's been gone. Even though he did have a little bit of a curse himself in 2018. He even called the car cursed, and I think that's where all this comes from. I know Ricciardo's not been performing well at McLaren, but he took a year, I'd say, or at least half the season to get good at the Renault when he moved. So there's still hope for him.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
When you say Ricciardo back to Red Bull, is it to continue the curse, or do you think since Ricciardo started the acknowledgement of the curse that he's the cure to the curse?
I just think he's Red Bull's only hope at this point. He was brought up in the Red Bull team. He knows that team pretty well. He's a good driver. I think he's equal to or just under what Verstappen can do in that car. The only problem is if they're both fighting for a championship, it can get bloody.
It could be like another Noris. Wow, Nico
Rosberg
and
Hamilton.
Rosberg Hamilton. Man, sorry, my brain's on fire. I totally botched that.
Well, you know what Nico would say would be there would be explosions in the background going, cracking under pressure, Mercedes career over, explosion. Yeah, that'll probably be a thumbnail for tonight. You'll see if you clicked on it. But anyway, let's move on to our moment of the weekend. I would have to say Vettel in the points, not only in the points, but a nice 5th place after amazing strategy call. Raph, what was yours?
Mine was the bromance on the podium, or how I like to call it, the fake McLaren double podium. It was so nice to see that.
I think Sainz will always be a McLaren, even though he's at Ferrari. I hope he has great success with them. I would love to see Lando and him back on McLaren, the McLaren team again, because what a special time that was. But now it's time for our drivers' ratings. Raph, why don't you give us your top 5?
So starting the person that's getting 5 points, I'm giving it to Carlos Sainz because he carried that race, because he had to carry that race because of everything that happened with Leclerc. I don't think anybody else can argue with me that he carried the race for Ferrari because there was no one else to do it.
Literally. Yeah, he did an awesome job. He was a little annoyed after qualifying because of Leclerc's crash. You could tell he clearly believed he could have been on pole this race. And unfortunately, we did not get to see that epic battle, but it did add some drama for us.
He had the chance. I think Verstappen was going to take pole.
Mm-hmm.
But Verstappen got pole anyways. Technically. So my driver getting 4 points is going to be Vettel. Great strategy, great qualifying, great race. The only reason why he's not getting 5 points is because, I don't know, maybe Sainz putting the team on his back kind of inspired me a bit more. But yeah, Vettel definitely deserves 4 points for me this weekend.
Yep, he did an awesome drive.
Yeah. My driver coming with 3 points is our race winner himself, Max Verstappen. I'm not giving him more points. I'm not giving him less points because I expected him to be good in this race, especially with Hamilton qualifying so bad. And his battles against Bottas, he's usually winning. So I'm like, he's going to get at least 2nd place. And then, drama happened, Leclerc out. I'm like, he's getting first. He's winning this race.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Noris. Kind of the same theory with Verstappen. When he has the chance to get 3rd place or on the podium, Noris usually gets it. And finally, 1 point for Perez because, it was the team strategy, but he was pulling very close to Norris. And as I said in the beginning, this track is physically incapable of having an overtake because the cars are a lot bigger unless you want to crash or risk it in Rascas. So he gets 1 point for throwing it out there. He probably could have gotten it if he wanted to risk it, but he's smart enough not to risk the race for it. For Monaco.
Anyway, before we dive into that, I'm going to go do my top five. We'll talk about that Perez in a bit. Okay, so my top five, I'm giving 5 points to Vettel for his fifth place in the race. Yes, it was his strategy that got him that position, but he was able to get ahead of not only Gasly, but Hamilton, which he was able to do on the hard tires. And it's the same kind of strategy that Hamilton was on and was not able to pull off. So that was very exciting to see a little bit of the old Seb back, and hopefully it can only go up from here. For my 4 points, I'm giving it to Sainz. I think what an awesome race. I feel like he might have probably not gotten pole, but probably its first row was possible, I think. Excited to see him do well at Ferrari and his first podium with Ferrari. So great to see. I hope he has a great career with them. 3 points I'm giving to Noris for his third place finish. I mean, he finished on the podium, and that car's, it's. I think it's right where he's able to get on the podium when he gets the opportunity. It'll be a little hard to fight for the podium on merit, but hey, the season's long. Let's see how they can improve. And hopefully Ricardo will join him at some point.
I hope.
2 points for Gasly because awesome race. Held off Hamilton for the majority of the race. Yes, I know it's Monaco, but he still did a great job. Definitely had the pace to stay in front of him. And my last point, I think you should have given it to, instead of Perez, was Giovinazzi getting Alfa Romeo's first point of the season. Yes, Raikkonen did get points early in the season, but they were taken away. So, Gio, congrats. Awesome race.
Congrats to Gio. And yes, I do agree. Hopefully, Ricardo can join Norris, at least in fourth place, maybe, or maybe on the podium one time.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of kind of disappointing in drivers, why don't you give us your bottom? Wow. Nah, listen, we don't have time to talk about Perez right now. Give us your bottom 5 drivers.
All right. My bottom 5, -5 of this week, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of haters for this, is Leclerc. He crashed.
He ruined it.
I mean, I know Ferrari kind of screwed him over by not checking his drive shaft before the race. They've come out and said that they didn't check it. Checked everything else but that. So that was nice. A -4, Tsunoda. He needs to step it up, or he will not be re-signed at the end of the season. I don't think he'll be dropped mid-season unless he starts becoming very crashy. But yeah, he needs to step it up. -3, Ricardo. He's struggling. I feel bad, but he shouldn't be in 12th. I know it's Monaco. You can't really make up places, but they show that you could do some strategy. He could have possibly gotten points if they'd tried something there with him. My -2 is Hamilton, which felt kind of weird because it's been a while since Hamilton had a bad race.
Yes.
So, he couldn't make his strategy work, which is, once again, very odd. But my -1 is Mick Schumacher. Crashed during, what was it, FP3? Couldn't partake in qualifying.
An FP1 or 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm really only giving to him because he looked like he had some good pace. Even at the beginning of the race, he overtook Mazepin in a brave overtake. I can't think of the corner's name. Casino? What's the hairpin?
No, I think, is it Casino Square?
I'm sorry, guys. The listeners, I'm having a complete brain fart there.
We're brain farting, but at the hairpin, yeah, he took over. He overtook it.
Yeah. I know he dropped back to last, but that was only because an engine setting was wrong, and they took half the race to figure it out. But Raph, why don't you give us your minus?
So my driver getting -5 points is Tsunoda. He's been having bad weekend after bad weekend, and this was just another horrible weekend for him. He did not crash, but he didn't have the pace. And we definitely know the car has the pace because Gasly's up, scoring really good points. Really, really nice points.
Yeah, Gasly is like carrying that team on his back, isn't he?
Yeah. My driver getting -4 is going to be Leclerc. not only because he crashed, but because, and even Max Verstappen said it was not intentional. He did ruin 3 to 4 hot laps. Hamilton was coming around trying to do another hot lap. Bottas was in the middle of his hot lap. Sainz, I think, was towards the end of his hot lap, and then Verstappen was coming right into, I think, the Nouvelle chicane.
But there is some positive coming that I forgot to mention that IndyCar has a rule that if you cause a red flag during qualifying, you do not get pole position. So
yeah, I heard Toto talking about that a bit, that they should have stripped it away.
I haven't fact checked yet, but I read that the FIA is looking into it. So that could be something of Formula One very soon, and it would prevent any like Michael Schumacher or Nico Rosberg's mistakes at Monaco to get pole position. But why don't you go ahead and give us the rest of your bottom?
My -3 is Hamilton, because if you listen to his team radio during the race, and even I think one of the commentators said that he just lost heart in the race. He was complaining way too much. He upset that the strategy didn't work. Sometimes the race doesn't go your way, but you shouldn't be whining on your race control. Even though, yes, maybe it was a bad decision here and there, but don't be talking about it all the time throughout the race. Just, keep your head down and go. Then again, I'm an armchair driver right now. I bet you in his position, I'd be doing the exact same thing, but, hate to see it, especially from a world champion like him.
We've seen him before do stuff like this. I think it was Germany 29, famous wet race where a lot of drivers were spinning and crashing. He actually spun directly after Leclerc spun into the wall, but saved it. But when he went into the pits and came back out, I think he said he wanted to retire the car, and the team actually convinced him to stay out, and he was able to get a point in the end. So,
but either way, Ricciardo is getting -2. He got lapped by his teammate. That's why he's getting -2. He had the heart. He wasn't complaining, but he has to step it up.
He said so.
And then I'm agreeing with you. Schumacher gets -1 point because he caused not just one red flag, but 2. I think it was FP2. He crashed and caused a red flag in the final minutes, and then FP3, which caused him not to be able to do qualifying. Which, congrats to Mazepin. He finally outqualified his teammate.
Yeah. You know what? I think Mazepin actually looked a bit stronger at Monaco than his normal pace. So maybe he's a road course guy or street track guy.
Yeah. Which that's like what, 4 or 5 tracks in total?
Hey, you know what? You gotta give a win to him eventually, and I think he started to have one this weekend. So hopefully it's only up from here.
Yeah, I agree. But let's move on to team results. And man, I can't wait. Do you mind if I start off?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm giving Mercedes 3 points.
Ooh, harsh. But I'm harsher. I'm giving them 2.
Yeah. I'm not blaming them for the pit stop. That was a mistake. I don't know if that was a Mercedes mistake or a Pirelli mistake. I don't know how. Okay, so it's a Mercedes mistake. Perfect. I don't know a lot about how the pit stop and tire changing goes, because I know they don't actively always. They don't put the tires on, I guess, when they're in sleeves.
I'll give a little explanation. So what happened is, before the race, when they're all on the starting grid, they drive out, they take the wheels off. When they're at the grid, they do a few system rundowns, and while Brundle is usually giving interviews, I didn't catch it at the beginning of the race. However, the mechanic who put on the wheel didn't get it on correctly, and it went on probably at a bit of an angle and just ripped up all the little metal grooves that the nut would go into, wedging it in on itself. So the wheel was never going to come off. It wasn't like
maybe they deserve 2 points, but I already said 3, so 3.
Now, even though I gave them 2, I do have to say I believe most of their problems this weekend was caused by Leclerc's crash in Q3. That Hamilton probably would have qualified better.
Maybe.
Yeah, but
he was still not looking very fast.
Of the bad strategy call, which is rare.
Yeah, Mercedes. It was weird. Yeah, Mercedes having a flub. But you know who didn't have a flub this weekend? Red Bull. That's why I'm giving them 10 points. 2 great strategies, allowing them to. I think Perez jumped 3 positions, and then of course Verstappen. One, he had a beautiful start. You know, he did not have the best of starts, but he was able to safely and legally get over to block Bottas from I believe it's the inside. Because he started left hand side, which I believe is the inside of the track. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well,
Just imagine if Leclerc was there. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, honest to God, I hope Leclerc could do it. I hope Leclerc would have been there.
Maybe for Mercedes, this race, I'm giving them a 10 as well.
Red Bull.
Everything. Oh, yeah, Red Bull. Ooh. Ooh, sorry, I'm so used to Mercedes dominating all the time that it's like, yeah, Mercedes. No, Red Bull, 10 points. I totally agree. Brilliant strategy, brilliant race. I hope to see more of it. But let's move on to McLaren. Raph, what'd you give them?
I'm doing a hot take real quick. I'm swapping my points around. I'm going to give them 8 points.
Yeah,
Norris did so well, and their strategies were right. And again, we usually expect, or at least I expect it from teams that if you have a slower driver, they're going to be harshing on them a bit more, telling them to pick up the pace, do this and that, switch from this mode to that mode, and just annoying the driver to an extent. But they're really encouraging Ricciardo. They're like, hey, it's not your weekend. It's fine. Ricciardo being very nice, being like, oh, by the way, blue flags for Norris. He's like, okay, gotcha. They weren't like, hey, you're going so slow that he's about to lap you. They weren't discouraging him.
Yeah. Well, I think they get 8 points from me. Norris was in control of that position, which would have been fourth until Bottas dropped out, and he was able to keep Perez off towards the end of the race. So I think it was a pretty decent weekend for McLaren. Ricciardo really needs to get up to speed because there's going to be a fight for third place in the championship for Ferrari and McLaren. So
right now Ferrari's looking like they're going to overtake it and keep it if Ricciardo doesn't keep it.
However, we got to say that Ricciardo's been in the points this is the first time he's been outside the points.
Yeah.
So
everybody has to have a bad race a year. Hopefully this is his bad race.
Hopefully. But let's move on to Aston Martin, where I gave them 9 points. Pretty much because of Vettel's amazing strategy.
Oh, not because of Stroll's amazing take on the curb?
I mean, he got that car airborne. I know it says Red Bull gives you wings, but I think that Aston Martin was flying.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. 9 points, mainly for Vettel, but also great strategy.
Great meme
all around
as well, coming from
great meme.
Stroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good to see Vettel up there again, and hopefully this is the start of them coming back and fighting for the season.
Yeah.
Raph, what did you give?
I gave him 9 points as well. I agree with everything you said, including the great memes.
Oh gosh, get out of my head. Let's go to Alpine. Hopefully our score's a little... I give him 4. What'd you give?
We're the same, 4. I will say after the top 3, I really struggled to with some of the numbers. So I think 4th, 5th, and 6th, I was very flip-flop. I was flip-flopping them all around. I kind of landed on something. But I agree, 4 points. Ocon did great. The only reason why I'm not giving them more points is...
I said Alonso's struggling a bit, it seems.
Yeah.
He's not found all of his pace yet. I think that's why we both gave him 4 points.
Yeah. Maybe it's his age. Who knows?
No, I think it's just tricky getting back into a team. Look at Ricciardo. He's been in the sport. He's struggling, so...
Oh, yeah, Ricciardo's making me upset. But either way, let's go to AlphaTauri.
Oh, no, you're forgetting one.
Oh, I was going to save them for last because...
no, you got to mention them. Ferrari. I gave them a 7.
Same. I did... so my hot swap was I was going to give them 8 points. But then I remembered that, they didn't really... They just checked the gearbox, not the drive shaft. But even then, you can't put the car at load in the pit stop. Or pit lane. So they couldn't couldn't do anything anyways because they would only find it at load.
Yep. So bummer for them, but they would have had a very strong race, and I think that's what we're rating them on. Sainz really carried the team this weekend, and
Sainz gets 7 points.
Yeah, right. Sainz gets 7 points. Leclerc 0.
Yeah.
Actually, wasn't it -5 and 4?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to something we don't agree on. AlphaTauri. I gave him 6 points.
I gave him 5. Are you kidding me?
I think partly was because of Gasly's good pace and then a good strategy call to keep Hamilton behind.
Yeah, but that only take that. This is the only one I'm gonna stick on. That's only half the team.
Yeah, well,
Half of it was great. Half of
Sonoda.
it was good, but the other half was non-existent. In fact, I honestly thought a Haas could have overtaken Tsunoda. I believe a
I'm not sure.
Williams. I think a Williams was near it,
Yeah, I feel like Williams had a greater chance of overtaking that Alpha
but
Tauri.
I was just disappointed.
Yeah, bring back Kvyat or Albin. You know.
Oh God, please, Albin.
Yeah. Oh, please
Please.
bring back Albin.
Yes,
Anyway,
I
let's
miss.
move on to the other Italian team of Alfa Romeo. I gave him 5 points.
I gave him 6 because Raikkonen finished higher. Even though he didn't score points, he finished higher.
You know, I think I got my scores backwards. I kind of agree with you. I think they deserve 6 points. Wow. Raikkonen was in 11th, so he was right outside the points.
Yeah.
So, but
you can do a hot swap if you want. I did
I'll
it.
stick with it. They get 5.
Yeah.
The next team, your favorite, Haas.
Oh, I love them 100%.
Should we say this one together?
Sure.
1, 2, 3.
1.
Wow.
Well, we were on cue. Wow, we were on cue with that one. Yeah, 1 point. They got lapped 3 times. There's nothing much more I can do. Yeah, and they also messed up horribly with Schumacher. Mick.
Yeah, there's really not much to say about it. We're short on time anyway, so let's continue.
Yeah. Williams, I am giving them 2 points.
I'm giving them 3. It was a solid weekend for them.
Yeah, maybe I should have swapped around, but then again, we'd be matching with everything, but Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo, so sucks for Williams, but at least Hamilton finished in points.
Hamilton?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I gave Mercedes 3 points, and I'm like, well, I guess maybe because Hamilton finished in points instead of not points.
It would have been pretty shocking if Hamilton didn't finish in the points.
But anyway,
that was our team championship results from us this week. Let's go over last week's prediction. Raph, start us off.
So I got 1 point, and I'm going to talk about it a bit. But my first one was Ricciardo's getting first or second row in qualifying. Man, was I wrong.
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't even remember where he qualified, but ooh, man, was I wrong.
What else were you wrong about this week?
I was on the bandwagon train with every other F1 fan that's not a Mazepin fan. I said he'd cause another driver to crash. He did not. In fact, he had a very clean race. Good on him. Maybe I should give him a point, but I'm not because of the situation with him. Then
what'd you get a point for, right?
Yeah. Oh, did you want to say something before
No, I was going to cue you up, be like, hey, what was that point for?
Yeah. Oh, I said, and I listened back to our podcast when this happened, and I asked you, and I said, quote, a red flag in Monaco will happen. I never said in the race. I just said in Monaco. We not just had 1. We not just had 2. We had 3. And I made the joke about, hey, I should get 3 points. But no, I'm getting a point because there was a red flag in Monaco. Yep. I'm glad that it happened during qualifying FP3 and FP1 or 2. Because it didn't really impact the race so much. Like, it stopped everybody and suspended the race. Yes, it impacted it a lot, like, outside. But I'm glad everybody is safe. And I kind of hinted towards this, that the cars are so big and they provide so much like shrapnel because of the amount of carbon fiber that could shred off, that the track does become undrivable if someone just hits a wall.
Yep. Oh, and it takes a long time to get the car on the track. There's only so many areas they cover the car.
Yeah.
But congrats on your point. Now let's see how many points I got. So I'm going to start off with the 2 I did not get points for. Mm-hmm. I know Raph very much convinced me that Mazepin will crash. So I blame Raph on that one. It's totally his fault. I don't believe that Mazepin's that bad of a driver.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm just joking. I thought he was going to crash.
Everybody did.
I don't think Mazepin is a absolutely terrible driver. He definitely needs to step it up, and he's in Formula 1 now. Next is Max will crash in quali.
You were close,
but no, it was Leclerc. But that leads me to the thing I think we need to discuss. I potentially got a point. It says Leclerc crashes out. Did I say quali or did I say during the race?
So you said he crashes out during for the race. You said for the race, not in the race or during the race, I believe. But since you gave me, I did it like this, like because we do talk about our predictions as they happen, if it were to happen, because we want to be fair. He did crash out for the race.
He crashed out in qualifying,
but it caused
he
him
had
not to start.
damage that prevented him from starting the race. So
Yeah.
therefore,
He crashed out of the race.
maybe half a point. I don't know if I feel right taking a full point.
No, I'm giving you a full point because he was able to do the outlap to get into the grid, and then his car failed.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a point. One, because we gave me a point because the red flag, and two, you weren't outright wrong, and you weren't totally correct. And I don't like giving half points because then it just messes me up when I have to do the math.
Oh, I know.
So you get a point. He did crash out. Our listeners can come at us in the comments.
Just know it's all Raph. I argue.
It's all me. Yep. You can at me in the comments. I'm fine with that. I'm giving you a point. And if they do at me in the comments, you lose a point. So it's a win-win for me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you take the side of the fans. Anyway, let's move on to our Baku race predictions. I'm going to go first since you're leading in our points championship.
Yes, I am.
I'm saying Noris will be in the top two rows in quali, which continues into the race, obviously. So if he starts on the front two rows, I am getting a point. Come on, Norris, you could do this. I'll be kind of annoyed if it's Ricardo and not Norris. They have like a flip-flop. Now that I said it, it will definitely happen. My next one, I feel bad about this one because I do like him. Yeah, I think he's a good driver. That Mick crashes during the weekend. We're going to classify this as any kind of damage that he cannot continue back to the pits to repair. So if he hits someone or he crashes into the wall and he's not able to drive the car back to get fixed, that's counting as a crash.
Yep.
During the race, quali, and free practices. My last one is Ferrari on the podium again.
A driver, because technically Ferrari's always on the podium. I was saving that for the podcast to make the joke because Ferrari's always on the podium. But yes, a Ferrari driver on the podium.
Almost had it. No, I'm saying Ferrari, the team, will be on the podium. Probably third, but you never know. Anyway, Raph, why don't you give us your predictions?
So I'm going to start with I'm going to save my top one for last. My first one is I'm going to say it's another incident-free race. One for high hopes. I hope nothing happens. No one gets hurt. None of the cars get too damaged. It'd be great to see another incident-free race after, everything we've seen for the first few races, especially with that. I'm still kind of haunted a bit by just seeing that Bottas Russell crash in Imola. So I'm hoping for another incident-free one.
Raph, hate to break it to you.
It's a very close circuit. Yes, it's Baku.
It has kind of a history of like safety cars and virtual safety cars.
And you know what? What track had a history of no red flags? Monaco. You know what I said? Red flag Monaco.
Red flags. They've had red flags, but
did they?
I think Ricardo calls Baku like one of the craziest races. I know the last time we raced here in 2019 because the pandemic struck. That was a boring race, but before that, like 16 through 18 was kind of nuts.
Listen. I was right with the red flag in Monaco, and
all right,
here maybe I'm a sage. Who knows? Probably not. I'm knocking on wood, my wooden desk. But skipping that, my next one, I'm saying Russell out in Q1. Williams, very draggy car. This is a very fast circuit. I don't think he's going to be able to make it. I feel like one of the other cars, maybe it's Tsunoda, but I don't know. Someone's going to out-qualify him by a bit. And then another one, my final prediction, which is another qualifying one, is Vettel likes this track. Vettel looks strong in this race and in qualifying. I think somehow, some way, Vettel qualifies top 5 in this race. And watch me be wrong. Watch me, Russell gets top 5 and Vettel's out in Q1.
I don't think, Russell's definitely not getting top 5, but I don't think Vettel's going to get top 5.
Listen, a man can dream. A man can dream. We usually make these and they have to be within the realm of possibility. This one is a man can dream. This is my only man can dream one. My other ones are going to be in the realm of possibility. If this happens, it's going to be so much egg on your face. If it doesn't happen, I'm just wrong like usual.
Well, I feel like maybe we should put a little something on the line here for viewers.
I'm not giving up a point.
No. I'm saying maybe a little bit of a challenge or something. If Vettel qualifies top 5, maybe I I have to do something. If he doesn't, you have to do something.
Oh, what's that something?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Maybe we
Listen, maybe we should have talked about this before the podcast so I can agree or not agree. I don't know if I want my face on the internet of me doing something stupid.
Okay, well, how about this? Why don't you go to our Instagram and drop a message or send us a message? Raf, what is our Instagram?
Our Instagram is Knockoff Media Racing. At
Yeah,
Knockoff Media Racing. If you follow it, that is our Twitter handle and our Instagram page.
right. So
In
leave us
fact,
a message on Instagram.
You could don't message us. Comment on our newest post with our driver and constructors championship lineup.
Mm-hmm.
If we like it enough, we'll discuss this. If we like it enough, maybe we'll do something. But do understand that it can't be something too big,
It'll be
because
something
right
we'll
now,
discuss together and decide on together.
yeah, because right now we don't live the closest to each other.
Yeah, we're a bit far away at the moment.
Yeah,
But that kind of wraps up our Monaco weekend for Formula One. It's been a great race, great quali. However, we're on a break, obviously, for Formula One for a week. We come back in the beginning of June, the first weekend in
June 4th through the 6th is
However,
Baku.
There are 2 races. We hope we'll have a podcast for you guys. There's, of course, the famous Indy 500, which we should probably discuss and do at some point. Sorry, guys, we haven't been very good with other racing series.
Yeah, we said this another time, but we'll do it this time.
We should probably do that one very soon, probably before this weekend, before it starts. And I will be attending, being if I can get tickets for it, the Charlotte 600 for NASCAR. So we might have a little bonus podcast for you listeners out there.
Ooh, can't wait for that.
Yeah. Raf, any last thoughts before we go?
Make sure to like, comment, and share, subscribe, do whatever it is for our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We should be posting a bit more on everything sooner.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a bit of a lull for the past few weeks. It just, nothing's really been happening, and our own personal lives and work lives have been kind of busy.
Yeah.
But anyway, when we do post, please like.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your mother and dad, share with anyone. If you want to make your dog listen, I don't care. But thank you for all listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right.